Good day and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. In this video we're going to take a look at how you can quickly get yourself up to 690 item level, a couple tips and tricks on how to pick up some big pieces and how you can get there relatively quickly without engaging in any severe in-game content. There will be some, but generally not so severe. So let's say you are coming back with your character, you are not so highly geared, and you want to kick it off with Season 3. Well, there are a couple easy quick pieces that you can grab without having too much difficulty, and then you can do the push to about 690 before really engaging with super hard content or continue a nice slow grind. When we talk about coming back with your character, something super important to take note of is that there are some really good free pieces that your character can collect fairly early on before we even engage in the early grind. So let's talk about it. So before you begin anything, head over to the Delvers faction, Delvers headquarters, and go and grab yourself a 694 belt, or 691. This belt can go all the way up to 701. It's a really solid belt that will carry you all the way pretty much through to the major endgame, and even straight away 691 is pretty decent. It doesn't require you to do too much either, so all you have to do is essentially do one delve. Can be on any difficulty, and that will give you the belt, which is really honestly quite good. In terms of the belt, just make sure that you are constantly upgrading it by doing delves. So you'll unlock it with your first delve. As you are delving or gearing up later on, you will continue to upgrade it through a repeatable quest that you can do consecutively after each other. You collect it from the same place, so it's pretty straightforward. While you have your delve quest, your next step should be to enter Koresh. The reason for doing this is twofold. Firstly, the Koresh questline does give you some decent starter level gear if you're catching back up on your character, around about 640. This will help you with just settling in, especially if you haven't played back in a while. If you are doing the storyline for the first time, you will want to play it up until you get to Chapter 3. Then you can pick up your free cloak, and then you will want to continue playing it until Chapter 4. The reason for this is you will then get story mode unlocked, which will allow you to pick up 2 more items. So you will have to get through campaign Chapter 3 and campaign Chapter 4. You can pick up your cloak here from Hashim at Overlook Zozul. You'll be given a quest to go there for your first time. The story mode will unlock by the Mana Forge Omega raid, again from a quest giver outside Illyria Windrunner. If you are on your alt, you can offer to skip. This will enable you to immediately jump to collect your cloak. For the Reshi wrap, you will pick it up from Hashim, which is pretty cool. It's a great cloak, immediately starts at 694. For alts, you can very easily upgrade it super duper quickly by picking up any Reshi wrap ethereal shards that you would have picked up along the way. You also have to speak to him to get your Reshi wraps, so you'll speak to him to say, I want my Reshi wraps. For your main character, a questline will bring them here that you'll pick up at the Oasis, and once you've done that, it will direct you here where you'll pick up your cloak for the first time. This cloak can currently be upgraded to 720, so it's very, very important. While you're questing, make sure to do the world boss. The world boss is Reshinar, the Untethered. He drops champion level gear, and you can only get 1 piece per week. It is guaranteed, so obviously you will want that. It may not necessarily be for your class, however, so you will have to utilize it for your other characters if you get a piece for them. But by doing it every week, you will build up a reserve of great warband gear that you can use on your characters. The story mode quest will require you to complete Chapter 4. If you have done this on your main, or you've done this with your character and you did the original skip with alts, you'll already be there. If you are doing it on your main, the Chapter 4 starts here in the Oasis. It's a fairly quick quest line, probably about 40 minutes, and it will culminate at Shadow Point. When you are at Shadow Point, you can then accept a quest from Illyria Windrunner, who is outside the front of the raid, and this will give you access to a special item called the Enchanted Crest. Now this item can be used to craft a 704 piece of gear, which is fantastic for your character. And the best part about it is you can do this by entering the raid normally, but you speak to Phase General Amir, who's over here, and you can enter story mode. And story mode, literally all you have to do is avoid very easy to avoid moves. It's super straightforward. It takes about 20 minutes, but you avoid these moves and you'll get it completed. Then you can get this item, which is super duper important. To use this item is very simple. You speak to a crafting order vendor and you choose the piece of gear that you want. Like I suggested, most people do not choose a piece of gear that is a set piece. Choose a piece that is not. Select your spark, which we'll talk about now, buy the reagents, and then simply add the Enchanted Crest. And if you place it on public work order, you have a pretty decent chance of getting a 704 piece. If you place it with a guild or a friend, you can actually set it to be guaranteed at that quality, and that will give you a 704 piece. So now we've done the world boss, we've got our delve belt, which we'll be upgrading when we do some delves later. We've got our Reshi wrap, which we'll also be upgrading because we'll be getting ethereal wrap shards from delves and content that we do. And we've got our story mode Enchanted Crest, but we're probably light on resources. And by that I mean we probably don't have a lot of sparks. So you don't have a lot of sparks, and we don't have a lot of valor stones, both of which we'll need for upgrading our gear and crafting some gear. So first thing you're going to do is do your weekly quests. Everything where you see weekly activity will give you a fractured spark. Fractured sparks, 2 of them can be turned into a spark. You can have you backdated so you could earn as many as you need. Right now you can earn up to 4. So go and accept all of these quests. It's also important because these quests will give you a veteran piece of gear from the Pinnacle Cache as well. As you can see, will give us a veteran piece of gear. So you should have quite a few that you can get. You should have your World Soul, should have your Archives, Titan Disc, or your Weekly. You also should have a Delve one, so you should have one for Delves as well, which is very important. You should have one to do 3 Delves, which is very good. And then as well, you also have Phase Diving, which you can pick up in Koresh. So in Koresh, there's a world quest called Phase Diving, more than a phase, and that will give you 4 pinnacle chests, which is great. It'll give you lots of valor stones, give you some crests, basically just give you a bunch of resources. Also give you some materials to upgrade your Reshi wrap as well. So you've done your weekly chests, you have picked up a couple of coffer keys, you picked up some valor stones, you picked up some crests, and you've also managed to pick up some sparks. All super important. At this point you've probably got maybe not upgraded your belt, but you have got enough resources to craft your item, which is great. You've upgraded your cloak a little bit, which is also great, and you're starting to kind of get yourself together. You maybe have also a couple veteran pieces, filling in some slots on your character, which is great. So now you're going to wonder what to do next. Well, the first step will be to do delves. You don't have to do them super seriously. You want to do delves. 2 things. Firstly, avoid bountiful delves until you can get to at least tier 7. It'll take you a little bit of time to get there. It's not hard. It's just that you have to grind your way up from tier 4. So you have to do tier 4, 5, 6, and then ideally you can start doing bountifuls at tier 7. These will start to reward you some pretty cool pieces of gear. Champion rank pieces of gear. So this is the entry level there. Ideally you start at 8, but it's okay to start at 7 because 8 just gives you 684. This then continues to tier 11. The only difference with tier 11 being is that it contains a gilded stash at the end. You don't have to worry about that. That's something to talk about later. For now, focus on getting to tier 7, doing normal delves until that point. While you're doing those, you're going to do 2 things. Firstly, you're going to be getting Reshi wrap shards, which are going to help to upgrade your cloak. Secondly, you're going to be finishing a delve, handing in the quest, finishing a delve, handing in the quest to upgrade your disc belt. This will push that to 701, and in the process of doing this you will also pick up 1 or 2 more pieces of gear, mainly adventurer rank You can't get anything really much higher on like a standard delve, so that's something important. But it's mainly that you are going to be filling yourself out and getting again some more valuable resources. Once you get to tier 7, you then want to use all your restored keys that you have, picking up pieces of gear. You'll probably have about 4 or 5. You're going to use that to pick up pieces of gear. This is really going to flesh out your character, which is going to be great. Okay, so let's talk about now endgame gearing. Okay, so it's super important to understand that at this point you won't be 690 like me, but you will probably be at around about the 670s. You will have your Reshi wrap fully upgraded, you will have a crafted 704 piece, you will have a 701 belt, okay, you may have a world boss drop, but you will also have at least 4 or 5 champion pieces of gear that you've picked up. You can then start collecting gear from your weekly vault, etc., which will help you out. Now we have to talk about the end game and progressing from there, but the easiest way to get yourself to 690 is going to be just doing repeated tier 7 to 8 delves. You don't have to push any further than that. Doing tier 7 and 8 will be more than fine. If you're going to push higher, you need to push to 10, 11, 12. So the difference between running, for example, like delves is basically the only delves that matter are bountiful 11s if you're looking to push. Otherwise, everything from pretty much 8 to 10 is the same, especially for your weekly vault. Before we go into endgame, just to mention also some important weekly events. So you get things like, for example, weekly mythic events. This is super important because this bonus will give you extra gear should you complete a certain number of mythic dungeons. You get time walking events where you can do time walking raids and time walking dungeons to get free heroic pieces. Keep your eyes out for all of these types of events because they give you extra bonus loot pieces to help accelerate your curve, to fill out slots, looking for BIS, etc. So always keep that in mind as well. So let's talk about the end game. We'll talk a little bit upgrading gear, but let's talk about the end game. So obviously, in terms of raid, you've got your LFR, you've got your normal, you've got your heroic, you've got your mythic. Your LFR gives you loot 671 all the way up to 691. Not really worth it. Your normal gives you gear all the way from 684 to 704. Your heroic gives you gear from 697 to 710. And then you get mythic, which gives you your 710 to 723. The big difference is the crest drops and the reward tracks. So crests will drop from bosses 7 and 8 gilded on the heroic level for raiding, and for mythic you will get gilded crests the whole time as well. This is important because you need certain types of crests to upgrade your gear. In terms of raiding, your best bet is to start pugging at normal. If you are at 690, like you should be from following this guide, you're going to be at the stage where you can very, very comfortably enter a normal raid. You could push if you're a good player at entering a heroic, but generally it's a good time to start doing normals, start learning the bosses, and then moving into heroics. From there you will need to find a reliable pug group to do mythic. Your next process is dungeons, and by dungeons that means mythic plus. If you are doing mythic plus, understand that it is a very great way to gear up. Mythic 0 will drop you 691 gear, which is really honestly quite good. And then anything from mythic 2 onwards will start to drop you things 694 in your vault. In terms of the actual runs themselves, 694 will only drop from 6 plus onwards. So it's safer to do delves up until the point where you start to farm 694 gear religiously. Then from 10 onwards, you can get mythic level pieces 707 on your characters, and gilded crests can drop from mythic plus 7 onwards. Mythic plus is a great way to get into things if you're looking more at a speedier process with a reliable smaller group. If you've got 3 or 4 players that are incredibly reliable, this is going to be a great option for you, more so than maybe doing raiding. Mythic Plus will also accelerate you far beyond delves. And then delves are the final one. So delves have something super important. Delves have a Delver's Journey. You need to get to reward track 2 to earn a bounty map. A bounty map is super crucial because it does two things. It augments the bounty that you get. It augments the actual drops that you get. So you can get 694 from tier 8 onwards with the Delver's Bounty as an end reward. So it's basically an additional weekly reward from the bounty map, which is great. Otherwise, your Great Vault can release 694 gear. Everything else will be champion level 684 purple gear, and that's more than fine, obviously, but that's just how it is. As I mentioned before, you want to really get to tier 8 to start to maximize your weekly rewards, but tier 7 you can start to earn champion gear from end chest rewards. So don't feel pressured to jump to tier 8 straight away, or tier 9, 10, etc. You can very, very, very easily grab good gear from the tier 7s and work your way back up there. If you are going to do higher level delves, there is no point doing anything higher than a tier 8 unless you're going to do a tier 11. So obviously you have to do these to unlock tier 11, but if you can't do tier 11, just do tier 8. There's no difference between the amounts, just the amount of crests that drop. But it's only dropping ruined crests, which are super useful of course. It's not dropping that super high level crest, so just keep that in mind. Bounty maps will also increase gilded drops from tier 8 onwards as well, so that's very important to take note of. So I'm going to talk about crafting and gear upgrades. So in terms of crafting, obviously if you're a crafter or if you're not a crafter, crafting is going to be a great way to augment your gear. As I mentioned before earlier, you will need sparks to upgrade your gear. You will need sparks to craft gear and recraft gear. Sparks can be earned from weekly chests, as I mentioned before, and you can track them from your currency menu. In terms of the crests, what you're going to want to look at buying are from Cyanite, who is in the Traders Comporium area of Dornagal. You can see her here. She sells the 3 different types of crests. My honest suggestion is to really only focus on crafting Enchanted Ruined Crests. Enchanted Weather Crests are great if you just have a whole bunch of weathered crests to use to grab some gear to fill out slots early on. But really, you want to look at mainly grabbing Enchanted Ruin onwards, or Enchanted Gilded, obviously. Gilded Crests coming from content we mentioned earlier. Ruined crests are more than fine if you're looking to fill out slots, like you saw with that brace that we made from story mode, or from any item that you've made from story mode. It does help you. It's going to be great. By the time you get enough ruined crests to upgrade your gear again, you probably will be on gilded content, but if you do need to craft a secondary item, it is not too bad. Check for your weapon if your weapon is not BIS as a craft, because if that is the case, then rather craft one then take the drop one, because you can still upgrade it further with crests again, and the stat distribution on BIS will be worth it for you. Once you have your crest, you just simply speak to the crafting order merchant who would have done this for your story mode item, and then you can just take and build whatever item you want here. Please be aware that when you are making items, sometimes if they're weapons, they will need 2. This is super important, but also as well, that you can customize the secondary stats on items. This is going to be crucial if you're going to maximize your gear for the season. In terms of getting Valor Stones and crests, I do have a whole video detailing the entire process and which methods are best. The best methods are going to be doing things like Radiant Echoes, for example, where you can pick up a ton of Valor Stones. For crests, it will be weekly chests, farming delves, etc. But realistically, honestly, speaking to the merchants and picking up your renown rewards is a great way for alts. I mentioned it a couple times, but on your alts, you always have these kind of like quests you can pick up. For example, for weathered crests, for resonance crystals, you've got 4 more weathered crests. You've got 4 weathered crests. You've got 4 more weathered crests. rocky stones you've got for valor stones. And so like going to your, if you're on an alt, going to your renown vendors, because it's per character, is a great way to pick up additional resources. When it comes to upgrading your gear, there are a couple rules. So firstly, as mentioned before, you get crests and valor stones. You need both to upgrade gear. So you will need valor stones and crests to upgrade your gear. When upgrading your gear as well, understand that the different pieces of gear have different upgrade tracks. So for example, it takes different currency to upgrade a champion piece of gear. You can see it takes carved crests, but once that champion piece of gear gets to a certain item level as well, it will take further upgrades. So it's, you will start to use ruined crests, for example, on that piece of gear, which you can see here with my shoulders. At the same time as well, heroic gear, right, will also start with ruined, then move on to gilded. When it comes to upgrading your gear, it's okay to upgrade champion gear. It's not the end of the world. Carved crests are not too uncommon. It's okay, especially if it's things like weapons, etc., to upgrade it, especially up to the point where you're going to be done with carved crests. Using ruined crests is also fine on your gear, but again, understand that it's probably better to upgrade your hero pieces with them first until you get to the point where you need gilded. Then you can look at finishing out your champion or otherwise crafting a piece of gear. As your character goes up in terms of their item level, you will get discounts and the ability to convert more crests at the vendor. This will give you more options to use your lower level crests. For things like weathered crests and carved crests, these are basically best utilized to either create filler gap gear for your character, or later on you can convert them into other pieces, and that'll help you out. So don't just spend them for the sake of spending them. Overall, valor stones are not hard to come by if you play the game frequently, but the crests are more gated, especially when you get to ruined and gilded, especially if you're not doing things like high level mythic plus or high level raiding. Last but not least, we're going to talk about converting set pieces. You convert set pieces here in the main hub of Dornagor. By this catalyst, you can come and convert pieces into your set bonuses. Now, of course, something that you're going to want to take note of is that when you are converting your pieces, firstly, you only really want to convert champion level if absolutely necessary to get your bonus, but mainly hero level pieces. The reason for this is you will get 8 charges in total during the season. There's a 4 set bonus, so if you use a couple of charges early on, 1 or 2, even 3 or 4, to convert champion pieces into set bonuses so you can benefit from the set bonus, it's okay. But after that point, you really want to obviously only convert hero pieces or preferably even mythic pieces going onwards. So that's super important. The only other way to get set pieces, if you do not convert them, is either through your weekly vault rewards, depending on the content you do, or obviously from drops from bosses in the raid. So for example, to get like mythic level kind of bonus drops, you need to actually pick up a Hungering Void Curio from the boss in the raid. And this will obviously give you a mythic level set piece, but of course that comes at a price. So my suggestion, champion level gear, or preferably hero level gear. You can also earn an extra charge for your catalyst as well by completing a set of feats, but this is something for a little bit later on as you start to push higher content. It will help you with free extra charge, but yeah. But that's it. That should give you a good idea on how to get a head start into the season. It should also give you a good idea on how to progress further on from there. If you have any questions, queries, or tips yourself, please let me know in the comments or let other players know. It's always appreciated. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, bye.